Hey, so I just wanted to make this quick video to show you how to do your oil your valves and your slides, so that you can just watch this instead of doing it in a lesson, wasting our lesson time with that. First thing I recommend is take your mouthpiece out when you're doing this so it doesn't accidentally fall out and dent your instrument or something and dent the mouthpiece. Okay, let's do valves. I already did my first one, so I'm gonna go to the second one. When you unscrew it, you don't unscrew the button, because then all it's gonna happen is your valve is gonna come apart. You wanna unscrew this part, the part that actually attaches it to the trumpet. If this is tight, don't get pliers, okay? Because it's extremely thin metal. It's like only a little bit thicker than like a Coke can. You take pliers to that, you're just going to bend it, you're going to ruin it, okay? What you can do is take like a cloth or something to try to get a little extra grip on it and turn it that way. It's a musical instrument, you got to be gentle. Okay, so pull out the piston. Really don't want to scratch this thing, okay? The tolerance between the piston and this, what we call the valve casing, is like 0.001 of an inch. You don't want to scratch it. It's going to mess up your horn. Okay, we're going to take a napkin or a paper towel and gently get the old stuff off. Okay, I'm not getting a lot because I just did this recently. I like to take my finger like this and do the just wipe around the holes. Okay, see that right there? That's what we're getting off. Just if you really want to get into it, do it on the bottom too. If you really want to get into it, if you look through these ports here and you see that there's gunk in there, you can take your paper towel and run it. I don't have any, but take your paper towel and kind of floss that through. Maybe twist it like this. You can do this move. Just, again, try not to fling your valve across the room. Okay, so that's wiped down. Now you want to put this down somewhere where it's not going to get scratched or dirty. I've actually got a little piece of, this is packing material from something I bought on Amazon. I don't even know what it is. It's styrofoam. That works. You can just use a dish towel or something, just somewhere where it's not going to roll off the table, all that sort of stuff. Okie dokie. Got to do the bottom cap now. Again, if this is stuck, don't get the pliers out. Unscrew this and okay, what did I do with it? Now you can go to the music store and get a trumpet cleaning rod. Looks like this. All it is a stick with a thing through it, and you can thread a cloth through here. If you've ever cleaned a pistol or a rifle, this looks a lot like what's in your cleaning kit. It's exactly the same concept. I actually have this. This is a flute cleaning rod. I like it because it's plastic, so I know it's not going to scratch the inside of my valves, and it's longer, and I can get a bigger cloth through it. Doesn't matter. I like this for my valves. So take this. This is just a strip torn off of an old t-shirt. Okay, and that works fine. And I'm just gonna kind of do this move. Again, I like the cleaning rod because it doesn't have that loop on the end. See that loop? So I can just push it all the way through. That's easier for me. You can do what you want. The flute cleaning rod, and it's like $3 probably, maybe even less. Try to get a plastic one. The metal one should be made of a softer metal that doesn't scratch the inside. Should. Just get a plastic one. Okay, did that a couple times, and so now it's all clear. What do I do with my thing? Okay, I'm gonna put the bottom cap on. Now, if you really want to get into this, where's my... you can get Q-tips. Here we go. Go to the drugstore, get some Q-tips, and this is for if you do this and your valves are still sticking. Here's what you need to do: get your Q-tips. You want to take out the gently wiggle. Of course, mine's gonna stick on me. Come on. There we go. Okay, just wiggle back and forth if it's not cooperating like that. Take Q-tip and you know, around the edges of the ports, basically, around the openings. Circle around, get in there as much as you can, because there might be gunk built up around the edges in there. I just did this recently, so mine's fine. So since that was obviously sticking a little, now's a good time to talk about slides and how to clean those. So again, this is one of these slides that comes out. I'm going to take paper towel. Now, you don't want to use the same paper towel on your slides as you do on your valves, unless you're done your valves, because you don't want slide grease on your valves. Okay, if you wipe the grease off on this and then you use this towel on your valves, now you're putting the grease on your valves. Greasy valves are not going to work well. So don't use the same paper towel on your valves. You can get, there's a couple different kinds of oil and grease out there. This is the most common slide grease out there, this red stuff, and it's fine. My favorite kind of oil is the Hetman #2. It's readily available pretty much everywhere, and he's got a whole line of like grease and stuff like that, and so these work well together. This is so this is the stuff that you put on the tuning slides, and this is the stuff. This is #7. You can't see that because that sticker's in the way. This is the #7, and this is the #2. So it says lubricant #2. So okay, that's my personal favorite. I've tried them all, and it's the most reliable and available, and it works great. So I wiped it down. You don't need a lot of this grease. It's going to spread pretty thin. And then you just sort of take your finger, smear it around, make sure it gets everywhere. Okay. The main purpose of the grease is to keep it from getting stuck. When you put it back in, we don't want to force anything, just sort of gently wiggle while you're pushing, and it'll slide back in. Okay? So now let's oil the valve and put it back in. So I got my valve. I've already wiped it down. I've already wiped down the casing. So now I'm going to take my oil. Try not to get this on your clothes. I'm going to hold it over a towel I've got on the floor. And you don't need a lot, okay? And you only put oil on the silver part of the valve, because this part up here doesn't touch anything. It doesn't need oil. You only need oil on the contact points. So I just kind of put a couple of lines on there. It'll spread around. And then gently, without scratching the valve, I'm going to carefully put it back in there. Okay. Now, the part that people mess up the most when they're first doing this is accidentally putting the valve in backwards. You'll know it's backwards because when you try to play, nothing happens because the air can't get through. I don't know how your trumpet is. On my trumpet and most that I've seen, there's a number 1, 2, 3 on the valves, like right, let me see if I can get it on the camera. Right there, you see that number 2? Okay. On mine, the number 2 faces the mouthpiece. If it's facing the bell, let's see if I can do it. Okay, it'll still lock in position, but it's backwards. So that's not good. The number 2 is supposed to be facing this way. Now you put it in, you try to get it close, and then you sort of wiggle it, and you'll hear it snap into position. And what that is this. Let's see if I can get on the video. This thing, yeah, that's the valve guide. That fits into little grooves in there. So what you're doing is you're snapping that into the groove. So I'm going to put my number 2 towards the mouthpiece, and I'm just gonna kind of give it a little wiggle like this. Okay, now it's in. Okay, I'm going to do that again, see if you can hear it on the video. Okay, just sort of snaps in there gently, and then once it's in, it shouldn't twist anymore, and then just tighten her down. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Do this a little bit, spread that oil around, and I'm good to go. I'll do that times 3 valves, do my slides. Now on my third slide, where's my other stuff? I put this number 7 grease, the thick grease, or you can use that red stuff. I put the thick stuff on my first slide because I don't want this sliding around too freely. On this one and on my main tuning slide. Okay, so same process, like for this main slide. Be gentle pulling this out, you don't dent your bell. Again, wipe it down. I've already done this, so I'm not going to do it again, but wipe it down, smear that grease on it, gently wiggle it back in. Again, don't force it. If it's not quite lined up, you might need to kind of help the pipes, just sort of pull them so it's lined up a little bit while you push it in. So I put the thick stuff. What I'm saying is I put the thick stuff on all of those slides except my third slide, because I want my third slide to move quickly. I want it to feel almost like a trombone slide, so that when I'm fingering my low D, my low C sharp, or whatever, I can very quickly and easily tune that, and there's not much resistance. Hetman has a special, like, it's basically a really thick oil just for that, and it's the number 5. Okay, that is specifically made just for that, and you don't need much, but it's the same process. You take off your third slide, unscrew this, hold on. Okay, when you're pulling out your slides, you got to push the button down to relieve the pressure. I'm going to make sure I use a different part of this towel. I only have one towel here. I'm setting a bad example. I'm going to make sure I use a different part of the towel that had the grease, the thick grease on it. Wipe this down here, the inner slides. Maybe take your finger, go around the openings like that. Same thing here. Now if you really want to get into this, what you can do, this is where you can take your this is where this is the right tool for the job. Take a small cloth, okay? Like if you do have a gun cleaning kit, those little patches of, the little patches of sort of cloth-like material that you use to clean your gun. Those work well. Take that, cover this, and clean it out just like you're cleaning your gun on the inside of these, and wipe that down. I've got another video on how to give your horn a bath using a snake brush and stuff. That's even more effective, but you don't need to do that every time, of course. So, yeah, this one. So I'm going to take this, just put, let's see if I can get this on camera. Just a little bit on both sides. Enough that I can smear it around. Again, try not to get it on your clothes. All my clothes are covered in valve oil at this point. I'm going to do it on the inner slide right there too. Let me put this down. This inner slide right here, the part that goes into this. So I'm putting oil on that too. This is that number 5 oil. Okay, smeared it around with my finger, and I'm pushing the button down as I gently, without scratching anything, put that back in. Take my paper towel, wipe down any excess if I put a little too much on. You don't need much. It's going to spread very, very thin. And on my trumpet, I've got to put these little screw jobs back on that keep it from falling off. Your trumpet might have some sort of screw or something to keep the third valve slide from going off all the way. You just need to unscrew it, figure out how to do that. It's not hard. I dropped it. And that's it. I do my valves. This Hetman stuff is synthetic. It's a synthetic oil, so it lasts quite a while. I do my valves 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how much I'm playing. It's not an everyday thing. Yeah. And I do the slides maybe once a week. It's every 10 days. I don't know. Well, I mean, the third slide, I probably do that once a week. The main tuning, like the heavy grease stuff, that lasts for a while. You don't need to do that every week. It's more like every 2 or 3 weeks. You'll know. You'll know when it needs it. Okay, so that's it. Turned into kind of a long video, but I wanted to show you how to do all that stuff. Hope it's helpful.